All right, let's talk about the empirical rule. It's the rule used for normal curves. And when you do empirical rule on the normal curve, your three magic numbers are 68, 95, and 99.7. You need the X bar, which is also called the mean, and this little symbol, which is called the standard deviation. And it's used to describe large amounts of data and what you normally expect. Okay. So this is a normal curve, what you see here. The number in the middle here would be the mean. Okay. And each of these is a standard deviation away. So you would add one standard deviation, you would add two standard deviation, add three standard deviation. And on this side, we would subtract one standard deviation, subtract two standard deviations, subtract three standard deviation. And these magic numbers here, 68, 95, 99.7, tell you what percentage falls between each of these things. So between here and here is 68% of your data. Well, 68 divided by 2 is 34. So that means that this amount here is 34% of your data, and this amount here is 34% of your data. Okay? From here to here is 95% of your data. And so if we do 95 subtract 68, we get 27%. So that's what's left out here. We take that 27% and divide by 2. That tells me that each of these is 13.5%. From here to here, out to the three standard deviations is 99.7%. So if I do my 99.7% and I subtract 95%, that gives me 4.7%. And when I divide 4.7 by 2, that gives me 2.35. So each of these is 2.35%. So if we do the entire amount, that's obviously 100%. And when we do 100% minus the 99.7, that gives us 0.3%. When we divide that by 2, that gives us 0.15. So this value out here is 0.15% on these little tails out here. So this is the amount that's found in each of these subsections of the normal curve. And we would find the values on each of these by adding a standard deviation to the mean or subtracting a standard deviation from the mean. So let's look at what that looks like on this example. So on this example down here, we'll start with let's draw a curve. And so we have 34, 34. Let's look at our numbers up here so we see where you got them from. We have 13.5, 2.35, 0.15. So this is 13.5, 2.35, and 0.15. So those numbers don't change. That's the percentages that fall in there, okay? Then it says we have a mean, and that's the average. So that number goes right here on here. So that's 6 foot 1 inches. And our standard deviation is 2 inches. So that means that we're going to add 2 inches over here. And we're going to add 2 more inches. And we're going to add 2 more inches. Then over here, we're going to subtract 2 inches. So this makes 5 foot 11, 5 foot 9, and 5 foot 7 inches. Okay. So that's the values that fall in this normal curve. So now let's look at what kind of questions they ask us. It says, what percent of players are taller than 5 foot 11? So taller than 5 foot 11, okay? Taller than 5 foot 11. That means if 5 foot 11 is right here, right? 5 foot 11 is right here. Don't let me highlight here. I'm gonna make this yellow. So 5 foot 11 is right here. And taller than that would be all of this over here, right? Okay, so that means I need all of the percentages that fall from 5 foot 11 over. So that would be 34 plus 34 plus 13.5 plus 2.35 plus 0.15. And that should add up to 84%. Okay. And it says, what percent of players are shorter than 5.9? Okay. 5 foot 9. So here's 5 foot 9 right here. And so shorter than 5 foot 9 is this one over here. So that would give us the values that are 2.35 and 0.15. So that's a total of 2.5%. So when they tell us what's greater than or shorter than or even between, we just add up these numbers that are here, the percentages that are here, to figure out what percent of players. Now, if they want an actual number like they do in part C, it says if there are 10 players, how many do you expect are taller than 5 foot 11? Well, we already know that 5 foot 11 is 84%. So we're going to do 84% of the number of players we have, which is 10. So of means times. So that makes 8.4 players. Okay. So this would be 0.84 times 10, which is 8.4 players. Well, obviously, we're not going to have 0.4 of a player, but we're going to word it that way. Okay. So if you just wanted to draw, this one just asks us to draw a bell curve. That's what these things are called. Normal curves are also called bell curves because they kind of look like a bell here. So we know we got 34 and 34. We got 13.5 and 13.5, 2.35 and 2.35, and 0.15 and 0.15. The mean is, the average also means mean, is 83. And our standard deviation is 2.5. So that means we're going to add 2.5 on this side and subtract 2.5 on this side. So 83 plus 2.5 is 85.5, plus 2.5 is 88, plus 2.5 is 90.5. So 83 minus 2.5 is 80.5, minus 2.5 is 78, minus 2.5 is 75.5. So that's what you do. Now, let's look at your homework problems because I want to do 2 more with you just in case. Okay. So it says, give an approximately normal distribution with a mean of 175 and a standard deviation of 37. It says, draw the normal curve. So we should draw the curve. And if you don't want to always draw a curve, you could just draw the number line. We could draw it as a number line. I'll draw it as a number line on this problem over here. But you're going to have the 34, 34, 13.5, 13.5, 2.35, 2.35, and the 0.15. Remember, these are our standard percentages, so those numbers don't change. Just the numbers on the bottom change. Okay, so our mean is 175, and our standard deviation is 37. So we want to add 37 on this side and subtract 37 on this side. So when we add 37, uh-oh, my key's missing here. I'm gonna have to think hard, y'all. All right, so 175 plus 37 is 212, plus 37 is 249, plus 37 is 286. And go back this way, 175 minus 37 is 138, minus 37 is 101, and minus 37 is 64. So it says what that percent of values are within the interval from 138 to 212. So that's from here to here. So what numbers are between these two numbers? Well, that's this right here. So that's 34 plus 34, which is 68%. It says what that percent of values are within the interval from 101 to 249. So that's 13.5 plus 34 plus 34 plus 13.5. Well, that's 95%. What values are between 64 and 286? Well, that's 2.35 plus 13.5 plus 34 plus 34 plus 13.5 plus 2.35 is 99.7. Okay? And those are 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviation, 3 standard deviation. Well, now it says what percent of values are outside of the interval from 138 to 212. Well, if within is 68%, we can say 100 minus 68%. So 100 minus 68% is 32%. And if we wanted to know, whoa, 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 where are we going? My tablet went crazy here. If I wanted to know outside the interval of 101 to 249, I know that within is 95. So 100 minus 95% is 5%. And so now this one they changed. So outside of 64 to 212. So for this one, I could do outside of 64 to 212. That is, let me get rid of these numbers so I can see good. So outside of here, I could just add up the numbers on the outside. Well, those numbers are 0.15 plus 13.5 plus 2.35 plus 0.15. Which is 16.15%. Okay. So reading what the words say. Okay. So now it says number 2, same concept. It says draw a normal curve. I'm going to do this one without the curve. I'm just going to draw a number line because some of you are like, I don't want to draw the number line. I don't want to draw the curve every time. Okay, fine. So you know that this is 34 and 34. This is 13.5 and 13.5. This is 2.35 and 2.35 and 0.15 and 0.15. It's the curve without the curve, basically. Okay. And then it says that we have a mean of 121 and a standard deviation of 40. So 121. So we're going to add 40 over here, 161 201 to 41. We're going to subtract 40 over here, so 81, 41, and 1. And it says, what interval contains 68% of all values? Well, remember that the one standard deviation is the 68%. So that is 81 to 161. And it says 95, that would be the next standard deviation. So that's 41 to 201. The 99.7 would be the next set of values. So 1 to 241. Okay. Then it says what percent of values are above 201. So here's 201. I want to know what values are up here. So that's 2.35 plus 0.15. So that is 2.5%. And then it says what percent of values are below 81%. So here's 81, and I want to know the numbers down here. So that's 13.5 plus 2.35 plus 0.15. So that's 16%. And so you will continue this in your task for your homework. Okay?